have a vision for how the business we have here in Sweden. And that is to enable every Swedish company to succeed on a global competitive market. And that doesn't matter if you're a scale-up or if you're a big international company that wants to win in various regions of the world, or if you're a company that mainly operate on the Swedish market, but where you start sensing more competition also from global players that really wants to come and play in our region. And in this, we are looking to see some aspects of where tech is really making it easier to be present in different places around the world. Here are some examples of that. We have, for example, global payment solutions that are rapidly expanding and improving. And we have some phenomenal Swedish companies here. Klarna, that you will hear from, is one example. iSettle is another. Logistics solutions are becoming increasingly seamless as well. We have languages, or actually rather like the translation between languages, that are also making it easier for both companies and us as people to talk to each other. And this fast development in how you can translate between languages is also happening due to the development of machine learning, which is also great. Another area where things are moving fast is within talent. I don't think talent has ever been as mobile as talent is today, both in terms of how easy it is to travel, but maybe even more so in terms of really being able to use great technical solutions to collaborate in new ways. Give it be in video conferencing or to be able to share things on Drive or in documents. And I often think about this whole notion about how fast the world is changing, both due to the increasement of connectivity. More than half of the world's population is today connected to the internet, but also in terms of the rapid change in technology, where things that we take for granted today wasn't possible just a few years ago. And a personal story on this that I reflected on last time when I was at the hairdresser was this phenomenal thing with technology. I had to schedule a new following up appointment with my son's doctor. And I think me, as many of you, have very limited time. And I realized sitting in the chair here, getting nice, trying to look nicer, but at the same time being on the app with the doctor talking about my son. Isn't that fantastic? But this could as well have been also me being actually in a conference meeting with either colleagues here in Sweden or international colleagues, because it's so easy to nowadays really talk to one another. Or it could be if you have a really good and interactive customer support center. This could have been me also talking to them. So hands up, how many of your companies are actually trying to use technology to either enable it to better work together, or trying to use technology to simplify things for your customers? Oh, beautiful. That's great to see. Okay, but to succeed then in a global competitive market, it is critical to continue to improve all the time. And I think that most of you know that. And this, of course, needs to happen in a lot of different areas. One area that we will focus on today is in terms of your marketing, how to transform your marketing, how to focus on your digital maturity within marketing. And we have tried to efficiently create a common language for how to talk about digital maturity when it comes to marketing, and we've done this together with BCG. And here is an illustration for how you can make sure to benefit both from increased revenue growth as well as cost savings. Because when you move up the maturity ladder in your marketing efforts, you can really gain revenue and decrease costs. And we have named this journey, or we have created 4 steps in the journey. The first one, as you can see, is called the nascent. That's when you're just getting started. Then the second phase is what we call emerging. That's when you're starting to test more things and activate more data. When you're moving to connected, that's when you're increasingly seamless across both markets and channels. And when you get to multi-moment, that's when you're drawing from most of the best practices that are available, and you're using predictive lifetime values connected directly to your financial objectives. Today, it's not that many. It's actually less than 2% of Swedish companies that are in multi-moment as of now. It could be a bit surprising to some, given that we're known for being a very forward-leaning population when it comes to technology. But it's also good to know that there is a lot of things we can do to improve. And if we look at the actual process, because the actual model BCG is going to talk about a bit more later on this afternoon. But in terms of the actual process, there are some steps that you can take. The first one is, of course, to make sure that you assess your current maturity level. And this is something that you can do already today online. Secondly, you need to make sure to create a plan in terms of what you want to achieve and which stage you want to get to in a certain time period. And then thirdly, it's about, of course, executing on that plan. And lastly, to then make sure that once that time period, maybe a year, is over, make sure to evaluate where you are. Have you gone to the next level or wherever you wanted to be? And then it's this iterative and an infinity loop. This work will never end. It's just a matter of like focusing on new things. And in terms of then doing this marketing assessment or maturity assessment, this is something that you can do already today. If you go to digitalmaturitybenchmark.withgoogle.com, this is where you can do this. It's open for any company. You can do it for free. And I know many companies have already done it. How many in here have already done this assessment? Yeah, a few companies have done it. Now everyone can do it. And also, once you do this, you can also actually benchmark yourself versus a peer set from your own industry to see how you are standing in the maturity versus others. And just a few tips before you get started. The first is, make sure that you don't do it alone. Make sure that you gather a small group of representatives from the company and that you do it together. Secondly, be honest. This is not the time to try to show off, but rather actually be honest in terms of where you are so that you really know which areas you should focus on to improve. And thirdly, let your Google rep know so that we can also, if you want to, come with a few more tips before you actually do the assessment. In a rapidly changing world, the only long-term sustainable strategy is to make sure that you learn things faster than the world is changing around you, and then translate that learning into meaningful innovation. This is actually the only long-term strategy. A good CEO, great relationship to customers, a lean cost structure, all of that actually has a due date, but learning and innovation doesn't.